And hello again, and here we are back in my drive with my GPz Project. And as you can see, I've now got a seat on the bike. And this actual seat came from my green F2 650, because I did actually buy a standard seat for the bike, but then did a swap, as I thought this seat would suit the bike a bit better than a standard one. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result. Also, what's happened this week is I finally got my swing arm and my yokes back from the powder coaters, and I must say, looks pretty good. So I'm now just putting this together with some new fasteners and so on before it can go back on the bike. I also need to fit new bearings into the swing arm before it can go on the bike. But before all that, I've got to sort out a problem at the front of the frame. Right, so you find me grinding away the metal of this new lock stop we added some time ago, because it's getting in the way of fitting this lower bearing race. Bit of a pain, but I'm almost there now, I think. Yeah, I think it'll go in now. Yeah, I think we're okay. So now that can go in the freezer for an hour or two, and then hopefully that'll help it go in without too much of a problem. And so here we have the bearing kit for the swing arm. So on the drive side, the swing arm has both a roller bearing and a needle roller bearing. On the other side, it just has the needle roller bearing. And then of course here we have the seals. And so let's get those bearings in the swing arm. And to help me with that process, I borrowed this little tool that Jeff made some time ago, specifically for the ZRX swing arm. Because you don't want to be hammering on these rather delicate needle roller bearings, so this thing will allow me to just gently press them in from both sides. And so let's get started. Right, so I've now got both bearings in place. This tool's now being tightened up. As I tighten it up, hopefully slowly press the rather delicate needle roller bearings into place. So these aluminium parts here have been machined to fit just perfectly inside the needle roller bearing, so as it goes in it can't wobble, it's got to go in straight. So hopefully this will work. Not done it before, so let's see. Like so. Let's give it a go. Yeah, it's working up. Slow but sure, because you really don't want to be knocking in these kind of bearings. They're quite delicate and easily damaged, so this mess is really, really good. Luckily, Jeff made this for another project, a different project, that used the same kind of swing arm, so he had that left over in his box, so I borrowed it. There we go. Right, so that's the needle roller bearings are in, and now we can get this roller bearing in, and that should be the swing arm bearings done. And now I found some larger washers, so I can press in this last roller bearing. So hopefully it should work quite well. See, it is nice and gentle. No stress on the bearing. There we go, I think that's in. So let's just flip that around. And that is all the bearings in on my swing arm, which is great news, and no damage done. Actually, this tool's been very handy. So that can now go back to Jeff's workshop, where maybe one day it will come in handy once again if someone's got a ZRX 1100 or 1200 swing arm. Right, a quick correction. That roller bearing in here wasn't pressed in quite far enough. It needs to go in far enough so that you can also fit a retaining circlip in front of it. Anyway, with that done, I've now fitted these stainless steel top hats on both sides, which are the adapters to allow this swing arm to fit with the standard 16mm pivot bolt. As you can see here, we made a new one in stainless steel. And now I'm struggling to get the swing arm in the frame, and that's not unexpected because the swing arm fitted perfectly before the frame and the swing arm were both powder coated, and powder coat's pretty damn thick, so now it doesn't want to go back in again, which, as I say, isn't a surprise. So what I've done is used my hand file, and I've ground off the powder coat on the frame where this thing sits, and now I'm just gently, or trying to be gentle, hitting it with a rubber mallet, just gently easing it in, as I don't want to take this apart and then grind off the powder coat on each end of the swing arm, because now it's got bearings in there and you don't want to have iron filings going in there. So I've been here before, actually. It's happened before. It's quite common. Things that fit perfectly before the frame's powder coated, once it's powder coated, guess what, they don't fit anymore. So yeah, powder coat is pretty damn thick. I'd say it's at least, if you combine all the thicknesses, 2 or 3 millimeters, and this thing's a close interference fit on the frame, so 2 or 3 mil means it ain't going to fit anymore. So hopefully, with just gentle persuasion, a little rubber hammer here, we can get the damn thing to fit. It is going in slowly anyway, gently. Obviously I don't want to risk damaging the finish, so I'm using a rag as well. And we're just gently easing it in there. Yes, that's going in nicely. Is that lined up? Hopefully it is. Yes, success. That's great news. Not easy. Phew. Well, phew, that was not an easy job, getting that swing arm back in the frame. And obviously it's because the thickness of the powder coat prevents it from fitting as it should do, but I've sorted it out now, so yeah, it's done, and it all actually looks pretty damn good. So I'm really pleased with the result. So next then I want to fit the yokes and the forks, but I can't do that yet because there's a couple of small parts I'm waiting for the front end. When they arrive I can get the forks and the yokes on the bike at last. And next I've got the powder coated R6 yokes on the frame, as you can see, complete with a stainless steel nut and these rather nice risers. Now I did have a problem getting this to fit correctly, because turns out these yokes are a little bit narrower overall than the yokes of a standard 650. So I had to make up a little spacer below here, which made up the gap so everything could be tightened down correctly. But that's now done. The bearings are in, lock stop's okay. So yeah, we're good. And so now I can do a test fit of these rather nice R6 forks. But that can wait, because these fork bottoms are silver and I want them to be satin black. Now these forks are in really good condition, they don't leak for a change, so I really don't want to take them all apart just to have the lowers coated. So instead of what I'm going to do is just mask them all off and give them a rattle can satin black finish. And in the future, at some point when maybe I need to fit some new seals, I can take them all apart and get them coated, maybe Cerakote or some high-tech tough coating. Also at this point, this bike's getting pretty damn heavy, and I had to pick it up and carry it through a little gap and put it in my garage very gently. And as I add more and more things to it, I guess more and more difficult to do. I'm not sure how heavy this is at the moment, but it's certainly getting quite heavy for me to lift and carry through to the garage in a very narrow space. So I don't really want to add any more weight until I have to. So that's why I'm not going to fit these just yet. But anyway, they'll sort of look, like that. Pretty good. So anyway, what actually I want to do is find myself a little hydraulic dolly, small thing that can take the weight and size of a bike frame at least. It's on wheels, but I also want it to be hydraulic. I want it to be able to pump up and down. So for example, when I want to fit wheels and so on, I'll just put this on here, jack it up and get the wheels in without a problem. I have found a couple, but they're so expensive. They're like, £400, £500, so I'm thinking maybe I should make one, or try and find a cheaper version that won't be rubbish from China. So yeah, that's something I'm currently looking out for. So there's the forks, yokes are on and swing arms on. So I'm pretty happy with progress so far. And so that's about it for this week. But in the next episode, I'm going to concentrate on the front end of the bike here, because I've got to make quite a complicated bracket to hold the instrumentation. I'm also going to fit quite a cool looking cockpit fairing to the bike, which I've not got yet, and that will also require quite a complicated bracket to go from the lower yoke to the upper yoke. I've sort of sketched out an idea that I want to do. Pretty complicated, I'll need some help to do it, but hopefully it'll turn out okay. So anyway, that's it for now. So thanks for watching and cheers.